בשנות ה-90 חיילים פקיסטנים שחודרים לשטח הודו באזור קשמיר מציתים מלחמה שתימשך שם 4 שנים. מתחת לרדאר, מדינה אחת קטנה באה לסייע, אתם כבר כנראה יודעים במי מדובר, בישראל כמובן. עכשיו לראשונה בטלוויזיה הממלכתית שם ולראשונה בפנים גלויות, מספרים הישראלים שהשתתפו בסיוע על החוויות מהמפגש עם החיילים ההודים, מפגש שהוליד את הבסיס לשיתוף הפעולה הביטחוני בין המדינות, שיתוף פעולה שנמשך ומשגשג עד היום. הנה קטע מהרעיון ששודר בערוץ NDTV.
The test pilots of the Indian Air Force that were sitting in the cockpit and trying to allocate all the switches and operation system that it's under the belly of the aircraft. It was completely new, completely out of the world, nothing that had before.
Joining me now is Aditya Raj Kaul, is a foreign affair and national security editor on NDTV. Aditya, hello.
Thank you, Mikhail.
Thank you for joining us. So you broke this story on national television, on Indian national television, a story which is rarely spoke about, also here, by the way. But you managed to interview 2 of these Israeli participants in this operation. Let's go back in time to the late 90s, the Kargil War. Tell us a bit of a background about this war.
Well, I've been coming to Israel for the last 11 years continuously, and I was interested not just in the defense and the strategic partnership, but all contours of the relationship. It just happened that some common friends knew some of the former Israeli Air Force pilots and some people who were working with Rafael, the prominent defense company of Israel as well. And they connected me with these pilots, and it just happened. I was probably just lucky to find them and interview them in detail. And it so happened that, we were marking the 27th anniversary of India's decisive victory during the Kargil War against Pakistan. And this was between May and July of 1999. In fact, I am in Kargil right now while I'm speaking to you. And both these gentlemen, Ami and Shlomo, discussed with me in detail how between 1996 and 1999, they came to India several times, in the years following almost 100 times. And they set the foundation of the defense relationship between the 2 countries. You would remember that India had only given diplomatic legitimacy to Israel in the early 90s. It was much, much later. I would have probably felt that, this could have happened many years ago. But for the first time, there was an official acknowledgement that came in. For years, diplomats and veterans have been writing about how Israel had helped India.
Yeah.
But nobody knew in detail. And there was no official acknowledgement. But these are the people who were part of the agreement that was signed. They were the program officers who were heading in Rafael. And I would presume they had a mandate from the Israeli Air Force and the Prime Minister's office as well
and
to go ahead and help India in the Kargil War.
Yeah, so this was a first on national television with, just showing their faces and their voices. How significant was the Israeli involvement in the Kargil War? How much did it really help?
Well, I would presume that it was significant because, some very sophisticated French aircrafts like the Mirage 2000 were being used by the Indian Air Force. But to make it more lethal, according to the Indian terrain of Kargil, of Jammu and Kashmir, it had to be built with some very interesting ammunitions and some good technology of that time. And that's where Israel came in. That's where Rafael came in. And that's how this relationship was taken forward. I believe initially in the war against Pakistan, that is May 1999, India had a lot of losses. So did Pakistan. But once the Air Force also came in, they could pound on several of these peaks, including the Tiger Hill, including the Tolo Link, and several other peaks that were captured by Pakistan illegally. And the Air Force came in with the lethal blow and the ammunitions that were given by the Israeli government and the Israeli companies. And that did play a critical role at that particular time. If I'm not wrong, in May and June of 1999, Benjamin Netanyahu was in fact the Prime Minister of Israel at that time as well. And earlier this year, when I was in Israel, when Prime Minister Modi visited, again, it was Netanyahu. And, I would believe that now the relationship has come by far to another level. It is a spatial strategic partnership, but what I know so far, that there is a readiness for joint resilience. That means that tomorrow, if there is another attack like 7th October in Israel, or for instance, the Pahalgam terror attack in India, then both countries can help each other with emergency procurement within ours.
Wow. And this, as you said, the foundation to this relationship began back then in the Kargil War. Aditya Raj Kaul, NDTV, appreciate this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, Mikhail.